Today we're going to talk about the staple dish of all of Indian cuisine, lentils, aka dal. Let's get into it. Welcome to Schmindian. I am your host Paul Singh, and we are here to demystify Indian cooking. And today we're talking about dal. Now, for those who don't know what dal is and enjoy hyperbole, I'm just going to say that dal is the greatest food on earth. Dal, along with rice, is a affordable and sustainable and healthy food that can realistically feed the world. Cheap, delicious, nutritious. What else do you want? It's a great plant-based source of protein. 100 grams of dal actually has 10 grams of protein. Just ask one of your annoying vegan friends, they'll tell you. It's highly sustainable. It can be grown in multiple climates. It can be grown here in Canada and in India. Those are two completely different climates. Many scientists, including the medical journal The Lancet, have actually said that dal could literally solve world hunger. It has an extremely long shelf life, and you can put this in your pantry and you can basically stay there forever. This bottle is from like 1971 when Nixon was in office. My family still uses this. Indians, man, we don't throw anything out. Why would we? But all of the economic and environmental and social benefits of dal really don't matter unless it tastes good. And lucky for us, it tastes great. But don't just take my word for it. Here's Nobel Prize winning economist Abhijit Banerjee.
I think if I had to pick one thing to take with me to a desert island, I would take dal roti or dal chawal or something.
Thank you, Professor. Dal is an incredibly versatile dish. You can eat it on its own as a soup, like a lentil soup. Or as Professor Banerjee mentioned, you can eat it with chawal or rice, Indian rice. Delicious. Or you can eat it with Indian flatbread, aka roti. Also delicious. Just pair it with some spicy pickles and just go to work, man. It's so good. And if none of those tickles your fancy, no problem. You can actually bake dal into roti dough and make a pranta, spicy pranta. Pair that up with some goodies and you got lunch. So look at this, you can make dal and just eat it for 4 days, 4 different ways, and never get tired of it. Now, if all of that wasn't enough to get you excited about dal, I've actually brought in a special guest to show us how to make it. The valedictorian of the Guru Nanak School of Engineering of 1968 and dal enthusiast, my very own father.
My name is Coriander. I am Paul's father. Back home, when I did my graduation at Guru Nanak Engineering College in Ludhiana, Punjab, the student who comes top of the class get the gold medal award. Luckily, I was the one, and I was awarded the gold medal for that year.
Do you consider yourself a genius?
No. I'm not genius, but I work hard, and I know that all people have to work hard in life to be successful. Sometimes there are setbacks. You should always think positive, move forward, and hopefully the success will be on your side.
Is this your favorite kind of dal?
I like more this one than any other dal. I have a 1 cup of dal already poured in the measuring jar. So the next step for me is to take this 1 cup of dal and wash it, because when you go through the mill, it gets some dust sometimes. I have washed this dal 3-4 times until I see the clear water. You can see the color has changed a bit. It's more brighter reddish than dull red. Put this dal in the pot. So we had 1 cup of dal. Now we're going to add 4 cups of water to 1 cup of dal in the cooking pot here. Now what we need to add is some spices, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 1 teaspoon of turmeric. Okay, so the next step for me is to start boiling the dal. Once you put the water in, you should stir it a bit so that everything is mixed up before it starts boiling. Might take about 15-20 minutes. While the water is boiling and the dal is being cooked, we have to make what the Indians call Tadka. You fry some ingredients in a vegetable oil. So every dal has a different type of tadka to make it tastier and better. But in this case, we're going to use, and I have used all the time, tadka made of fresh onions and fresh tomatoes. The onion should not be too big, not too small. As you can see, this is about the average size of onion we have. We chop it into very fine pieces. As fine as you can do it, but not a paste. In the meantime, you should keep an eye on the dal so that it doesn't boil over. Make sure it is boiling all the time. It shouldn't start simmering or not boiling, because then the dal won't be cooked. We need a frying pan to caramelize the onions and the tomatoes. So we'll put the onions here, chop tomatoes, just one average size tomato, not big, not small, medium size. In the meantime, make sure you stir it a couple of times. What happens is this is going to take maybe 15-20 minutes or thereabout. So what I'm going to use is move the dal on the stove in the back, and in the meantime we're going to make tadka to get it ready when we need it. It needs some vegetable oil, 4 teaspoons myself. What we're trying to do is caramelize the onion to the point when they look just about yellow. So when you see that they are caramelized and the color start changing, then we're going to add tomatoes on that one there. It's easy to cook when you don't have too much time, like when you're working 8 hours a day and come home and you want a quick meal. You can make this dal in about half an hour, I would say. Or maybe you can make more one day and use for a couple of days. You can easily serve with this 1 cup, I would say at least 4 people, if not more. Definitely 3 people, if not 4. You don't need too much expertise, I would say, to make this, because if you don't make it, if you don't like it once, you change the ingredient a little bit and make to your taste. As you can see now, that start getting yellow here, so I think it's time to put the tomatoes in. I'm going to add tomatoes now because onions have started turning yellow, and make sure you stir it to mix it properly. We go until such point until the tomatoes are caramelized, and it's more like a sweet and sour with the tomatoes and onions mix here. Make sure you keep stirring it so that one portion or one side of onions, tomatoes don't get burned. I think they are ready to go. Now it's all done. You can see that now the tomatoes are lost their shape, if I call that way. They are basically caramelized. Onions are dark yellow but not brown or black. In my view, that's when they're done. So I'm going to put that here and bring back my dal over here. So now I'm looking for dal to make it a good paste with water, so they're not two separate things. The next step for us is to mix the tadka and the dal together. And we stir it up, still keeping on the heat. Now we have to add more spices to this. 1 teaspoon red chilies will be good in this amount here. 1 teaspoon of garam masala. So now we had this dal about 5 minutes cooking here so that all the spices and the tadka is gelled in the dal properly. Now next step for us is to see how did we do. So what you do is you take a couple of spoons of dal. This is not too thick, it's not too liquidy, and let's see what taste it is. It's good. I would say that's pretty good for my taste, and this is how I make it. The last step in the process is to add fresh coriander. Make sure you take these thick branches off because they won't taste that good. Mostly we should have leaves. 1/4 cup, and then chop it into small pieces. The taste will be different when we tasted before, and you should taste it again and you will feel the difference. Good. Our dal is now ready to be served. As you can see, look pretty good to me.
So there you have it, a food that Nobel Prize winners and my own father love and think can save the world. It's affordable, it's delicious, available all over the world. You should try some dal. Could use some more salt. This has been Schmindian, and we just demystified dal. Have a good day.